Well, here we are then at Ice with Jeremy in the kitchen. Jeremy, we have a dish. Well, we've got several dishes here because this is really clever.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to do a technique now, which is quite old-fashioned in the catering world. You've probably made white sauce for cauliflower cheese, bechamels. There's a product called a velouté, which is you make the same principle by using the roux. You take the roux to a bit more colour, and you add stock, and then you can also add a dark stock, which becomes an espagnol, which it goes into the real classic cooking. The great thing about this is you can use it for anything. You can use milk and poach fish in milk, and then you can make a base for a fish pie. We've got chicken cooking in the stock, so basically we've just got some stock cubes, some chicken cooking. It's been poached in there for 10 minutes. We're going to add some carrots to it, finish the carrots cooking. Again, it's a one pan concept. You're not having several pans, you don't have to make different things. You can cut some potatoes up if you want, chuck some potatoes in there. You can chuck a bit of pasta in there. And when it's all cooked together, we're going to drain it, and then you're going to make the sauce, Nick.
So the core ingredients are the same, however, it means that you get a real versatile week of cookery.
Yeah, so you can do chicken, beef, pork, lamb. So you can make the stew in the same way. If you just want to make a different stock, or you can use a vegetable stock to make it light. You can do the same for vegetables, or you can do fish. So you cut your fish into pieces, cook it in milk with a little bit of onion. You know how we grated the onion earlier? You can put a grated onion in for flavour. You can add some spices. You can put whatever you want in it. Cool. It really is a one-stop cooking pot. So we've had the chicken cooking for a little bit. I'm just going to get the carrots.
Mentioning the chicken, and also obviously with it cooking earlier, he's the pro, but I wash my hands as well, so always throw that warning in regardless, whenever chicken's mentioned really.
Yeah, it's always good hand hygiene and also equipment hygiene as well. So we're going to put some carrots in there. So we're going to have the carrots cooking away, so everything's cooking in the same pan. You can put a lid on it if you want. If you want to take some time and you want to do it over the afternoon, you can put it into a pan with a lid, pop it in the oven on around 140, 150. You can put it in the morning, go out, go and do what you need to do if you go to school, if you're a young carer, etc. But it just means that when you come back, it's all ready to go, and you can either have it as a stock like that, as a broth like that. You can just eat it with some bread and butter, or some rice, etc.
And really nutritional value. Yeah, it's great.
But it's really easy to do. And again, if you want to do a big pan of it, you can take it out, cool it down, and drop it in the freezer. That's what I used to do when I used to look after my mother. I used to do meals for, tag them, put them in the freezer. So at least then, some days it would give me 1 or 2 days respite. So I could just pull it out of the freezer, put it in the fridge, and then just heat it up. And it's just quick and simple.
And you might decide you want a chicken pie, but you might decide you want something completely different.
Yeah, because if you want a chicken pie, you just get some ready-made pastry, roll it out, put it on top, whack it in the oven. You've got a beautiful pie. You can put mashed potato on top. You can make like a fish pie, or it's like a chunky cottage pie. It's just so useful.
Right.
So our carrots have been cooking in here. You can put whatever vegetables you want in, and some potatoes, like we said. You can really whatever you fancy. So that's been cooked. So we're just going to drain this stock now. Really keep the stock. As you can see, we've got a nice clean pan as well, which helps. Although I think Nick might have other ideas about that in a minute. So what we're going to do, we've got the butter from the Co-op East of England, unsalted. We're going to take usually to a pint of liquid, it's approximately 20 grams. I know we're mixing Imperial and 2 ounces for old money for you. I saw you struggling with the conversion in your head.
I'm a child of the 70s.
I'm a child of the 70s, but I still do metric.
I missed that day.
So we're going to put the butter in there. So we're going to leave the pan slightly off the stove and let the butter melt. And then the same thing is we're going to add the same amount of flour. So if you want to grab yourself a nice pink spatula, Nick, off the end there. So we're just going to melt the butter. So if you want to move the butter around and get it melted, we're going to just turn the heat down a little bit, cook it over a medium heat.
See, those of us that aren't pros might get a little bit nervous sometimes with butter because you can ruin it quickly.
If your pan's hot, put a little bit of oil in, and it sort of takes takes the heat out of the pan and sort of allows the butter to go at a slightly higher temperature before it goes nutty brown. But nut brown butter is usually pretty good with fish as well. So we're going to melt that, and then I'm going to give you 2 ounces of. I don't trust you, Nick. Sorry, but I'm going to give you.
I don't trust me.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 ounces of flour. So once the butter's melted, we're going to put the flour in. So if you give that a stir around.
How vigorously am I supposed to be stirring this?
It'll go to a slightly wet pace, and that's why I'm doing it by eye, because make sure all the flour's incorporated and try and push any lumps out. Good job there, Nick. Good job. So again, you said if you make a white sauce, you would do this with milk. With the stock, it's a velouté, and then if you want to do it with a dark stock, you make it like a dark, thick, rich gravy. Depending on how much flour you put in, will be how thick it is or how much liquid you add.
So we've got a really nice paste now.
Yeah, so it's a lovely paste because we don't want it too heavy and we don't want it too claggy because it's going to be more like a sauce consistency. Again, if you want, you can finish it with a little bit of cream or a little bit of milk if you want to lighten it up. So we're just going to cook that out. Basically, what you'll do is you'll suddenly see the colour start to change. So it goes sort of almond colour,
yeah,
and then it'll go back to white. That's when you would add the milk stock. That's for a bechamel or a white sauce. Yeah. Then it'll go back to yellow, which is for a velouté, and then you'll start to give it a bit of colour, and that's when it actually becomes gives you the colour and the nutty taste for a dark stock.
Tell you what, if you had a really stressful day, this is a great way of escapism, isn't it?
Well, I always find that cooking for me, it's obviously been most of my life, but cooking is a bit of escapism, and like you said, I think if you've had a hard day at school, it's that little bit of freedom to yourself. You give yourself a bit of time. I know sometimes it can feel onerous when you've got so many things to do as a carer, but I think sometimes getting yourself in the kitchen away from everything and having a bit of you time, the feedback I've heard from some of the young carers is they really see it as a getaway. It's a bit of escapism, and everyone loves to cook.
And it's good for you.
Yeah, and it's a life skill you're learning as well.
Right, how are we looking?
Good. So you can see it start to come back to the almond colour. So we have our stock we're going to add. So we add a little bit at a time. So you hear that noise, you want that noise. Watch your fingers because the steam's going to come up, but keep working. You see how it's going to a lovely paste now?
Yeah.
And what we do is once it's virtually incorporated, add a little bit more liquid at a time. If you want to be really clever, just pour it all in and get a stick blender.
Is that a cheat? Is that a cheat? It doesn't matter?
No,
it goes everywhere.
No, it doesn't, but the problem is it could go everywhere. So, but you see how it's suddenly getting nice and glossy now, that's the fat, etc.
It's got a slight look, if you're a fan of bread sauce, it's got a slight look of bread sauce. That's a fleshiness.
Yeah, it has that kind of texture to it, but obviously it's not as lumpy as bread sauce.
No. Are you a fan of bread sauce?
I do like a bit of bread sauce actually.
It's like Marmite
roast chicken and bread sauce done with a little bit of clove and a little bit of nutmeg, and if you want to be a bit spicy, put a bit of cumin in there as well.
You should use old bread though if you're going to make it yourself, shouldn't you?
Well, you can do, but the problem with old bread, when you add it, it gets more cakey too quickly because of the moisture. You use fresh bread, you get a much more fluffy texture, almost like eating clams.
Lovely smell from the stock coming out, Jeremy. Really good.
You see that? You see how it's incorporated and you're getting a nice little paste. Again, if you want it thicker, if you want to make your pie, you've got a nice thick rich sauce. And again, if you want to add a bit of cream, you want to be a bit decadent for a special occasion. It's for your mum or your dad's birthday, let's say.
It's now looking
or
a
your
little
aunties,
bit...
or uncles.
Or uncles. It's looking a little bit like ready bread. Now, the way I make
ready bread you make.
I like it, just not the right way.
Do you know what? I knew you had a glow when you came.
Child of the 70s.
I knew what it was. So there, so you're working it through, and you just keep working through, and we'll pour the liquid in there because I know you can work that through.
And again, I know I asked this previously in another episode. Does it matter if you stir one way and then stop and then go the other? Does that matter?
I like to ambi-stir, so I like to go both ways.
Okay.
Because it also make sure you get the spatula in the corner of the pan, because obviously because it's a flour-based sauce, it can catch. There's nothing worse than getting to doing all this work and then you have that burnt flavour, the smoky aroma. So you see you've got a nice little paste. Again, if you want to add a bit of cream, and I think what we'll do, we've got our little tart shot here.
I popped there to the East of England earlier, so you should, there it is, there's the double cream.
And I think what we'll do is, should we be a little bit decadent, shall we, today?
How much are you putting in?
I'm not going to put the whole lot in, because we need it, because we're making a cheesecake.
Ooh, lovely.
So,
now, with cream and heat, that's again, to me, that's like, that's just...
But remember, it's not that hot, because we're only using it on a medium heat, remember? So we're not having it on a full fire.
No.
And then I think that's beautiful. And so I think we're going to drop our chicken and carrots in.
Look at that, it's gorgeous. I'll give this a right old...
Just a very gentle stir now, we don't want to go crazy.
So we're really coating everything, the carrots and the chicken.
That's it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a few peas in there. These can go straight out of the freezer if you want, or you can have them defrosted.
Nice.
If they're in the freezer, what the good thing is, it adds a little bit of moisture. It adds a little bit of water to it. But you can see how that's a beautiful pie consistency.
Isn't that, if you took the crust off, that is the pie.
Yeah, and it is beautiful. Some sliced mushrooms in there if you want. Pan fry some sliced mushrooms. Whatever you want to put in there, whatever's your little bag. And if you just want it as a stew, you can just serve it as a stew. And again, what we're going to do, what do chefs have to do all the time, Nick?
Choose from, taste.
Oh, thank you.
Hooray! I like. That's the good bit. Here we go.
Don't burn yourself like last time.
No, indeed.
So you might need a little bit of salt, white pepper. If you're doing a white sauce, add white pepper. Do you think it needs anything? Remember, you've got a bit of saltiness from the stock, etc.
It needs a table
and a glass of wine. Oh yeah.
So that's really lovely. You've got so many flavours in there, and really to me, that's chicken, carrots, and peas.
Well, there you go. And you can eat it like that with some rice. You can boil some potatoes with it, or you can cook the potatoes in it, or you can get yourself a nice and large pie pile here with some mashed potato, a bit of cheese in the oven. Go and sit down for half an hour, come back, you've got an amazing pie.
Find out more online, of course. Family Carers. No, who got that horribly wrong?
Just keep going.
Just start from that sentence for me. So just start from that sentence.
Don't
Doesn't matter. We'll
I'm
chuck it in
going
anyway,
to
it's all
look,
good fun.
I'm gonna look at Jeremy first, then look at the camera. We're gonna make
Family Carers Nets, okay,
I'll do it when you stop talking. I don't think it sounds daft.
Like echo. Can't believe I was done. No.
Don't forget, if you want to find out more about what we do and how you can get involved, go to Family Carers.net.
And see a lot more.
Can I taste this now?
You can do.
Properly.